Hello, everybody, and happy Wednesday to you, right? We're moving right along into this new year, man. And everything is looking really, really good. Like everything is really good, man, at this moment. Hopefully, everybody is doing the same thing. Hopefully, you're bringing in your new year and having a blast and got some really good goals set up for yourselves. And as always, this is another episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch. I am the host of this podcast. And as always, we are bringing some amazing stories to you guys. And, guys, get your questions, get your answers, get your comments and your questions ready. Put them in the comments section. Now, before I bring on my next guest, I would like to say if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head on over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And guess what? It's scrolling right there across the bottom. Follow me on my socials, everybody. Keep it get informed because we got a lot of amazing things coming up. Now, before I bring on my next guest, I'm going to say one other thing that this is for educational purposes only. So now, without further ado, you guys, help me welcome my next guest, Miss Sandy Doyle. She came with like she and I talk. She's a lot of fun to talk to. You guys are going to be super amazed. Sandy, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Tony. How are you doing?
I am doing well. After talking with you, giving you a hard time about having knee surgery, we talked about that. You got to stop chasing the grandkids. You can't be a bully all the time, Sandy. You can't do that, okay?
No.
We talked about this. They're going to mess around to get you back.
Especially when you got as many grandkids as I have.
That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. So now, before we jump into this, tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
My name is Sandy Doyle, and I spent over 12 years in the death care industry, working at the cemetery we call them cemetery counselors, writing pre-need, writing at-need funerals, witnessed a lot of things. And back in, I guess it was, I want to say it's been over 4 years ago, about this time, I was diagnosed with lung cancer and second stage COPD. Mm-hmm. And so one thing working at the cemetery, I always said, one of these days I'm going to write a book. One of these days I'm going to write a book because nobody's going to believe this story. Right. And so about the same time that I got the diagnosis, COVID hit. And so my children, I have 7, I've been very blessed. Mom, you're not leaving the house. You're not leaving the house. So I spent the next year and a half, almost 2 years, writing the book and going back through some of the stories and reliving a lot of the things that had happened and trying to make it all jive into like a story type of thing to where an easy read for people that they could pick it up and they could read one story and put it down and come back an hour later and pick another one up, or they could read the whole thing, if they so chose. So it was a very learning experience for me, especially because it finally getting all of these stories together and then going through what I went through with my husband's death just brought to light the one thing that I suspected, but I didn't really understand or didn't know how to go about finding out about anything, that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. That body may die, but that spirit lives on forever.
You and I talked about this, and it's the stories that our spirit tells when it leaves this body, yes. And I'm right there with you. I want my spirit to be able to tell a story of adventure, of triumph, of the trials and tribulations that came along with it.
Right.
In order to be an example for someone else coming along the way.
Exactly.
I don't want to be an inspiration to people. I want to be an example. There's so many amazing people out there that will inspire those individuals to go and do amazing things. I just want to be an example of you can have whatever you want in this world if you're willing to work through it, right? If you're willing to not give up, to be willing to pick yourself up, dust yourself off and go through your growth through, grow through it and become a good person in the world,
Right.
right?
Right.
But most important, leave people better than what you found.
Yes, definitely. And that was my thing in the book and in writing. I thought, how many people was I blessed to meet? And hopefully I was a blessing to them in the worst day of their life,
Yeah,
you know. And I never knew, Tony, I never knew who was going to walk up through that front door at the cemetery. I did not know whether it was going to be a good experience, a bad experience, whether it was going to be an experience that I would remember, an experience that 9 out of 10 times they would never remember, Tony, them coming in the door.
right.
They were just so out of it that they would never remember meeting me. And so when I would follow up, because I always followed up a couple of weeks after to make sure that they were doing okay and to tell them to get some therapy, a lot of people, and even to this day, they don't go get the therapy that they need, and they don't understand that little bitty tidbit there that I said, we're spiritual beings. That person who has left you is still basically around you and probably always will be, because love abounds. Love abounds.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Now, you got some stories. You got some stories. Now, before we get into your stories, though, I want you to take people along that emotional journey of, having to have gone through losing your husband, right?
Mhm.
And then we're going to backtrack a little bit and get into your work with the cemetery and things like, because they're going to be dying. Because oh my God, wait till you guys hear these stories, right? You guys are going to be like, oh my God, yeah, people do this, right? Yeah. But
I tell people that it brings out the best in people, and death brings out the best in people, and it also brings out the worst.
well, you've seen a little bit of both, haven't you?
I've seen it.
I bet you,
I've seen
as they say, but you won't do that again, will you?
it. No, just my husband retired, and so I went ahead and retired about the same time. And I he was an avid golfer. I mean, he loved to go golfing, and he went golfing every morning. He would be on the golf course at 7 o'clock. He would be out there golfing. And one Sunday he was on the golf course, and by Thursday he could not move anything but his left hand.
Mm,
He was completely paralyzed. And they finally gave us a diagnosis of CIDP, which is chronic inflammatory debilitating polyneuropathy, which it took me over 2 years to learn how to say that.
I'm still
But
figuring out how to say it right now. Like, what?
yeah,
Let's abbreviate that a little bit.
but it's an autoimmune disease. It's kind of like ALS, but it's of the muscles.
Mm,
His muscles just completely wasted away. And so, of course, he was in the hospital for like 4 months, and then he was at the nursing home for 3. And then I brought him home, and we had therapy coming in every week to try to help him get some strength back to where he could dress himself and eat himself, feed himself.
yeah.
He got to the point that he could feed himself with his left hand, but he could never um, put his shoes and socks on. He could dress himself, but he could never put his shoes and socks on. And so we were adjusting. I became a full-time caregiver, and we were adjusting to this. And he came down with pneumonia, and I had to take him to the emergency room. And in the course of all of that, they found out that he had stage 3 lung cancer. So we spent the next 4 years, I think it was, going for blood pheresis for the CIDP, and then we were doing chemo and we were doing radiation, and I mean, anything that the doctors thought that he should do or it would help, that's what we did. And during that time, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, I kept thinking, okay, how many hundreds of burials did I witness? Was I going to be able to witness this one? Was I going to be able to comfort my children, you know, like I did hundreds of other people? I had no clue. But I can tell you that when he passed away, it was just something just clicked in, and I comforted my kids. I comforted my friends. I stood at his casket and I welcomed everybody and thanked them for coming. And when it came time for the burial, I told my kids to go on, that I was witnessing this. And they said, Mom, you don't have to do that. And I said, yes, I have to witness this. This is my job. This is what I did forever and a day. And this is what I'm going to do. So I managed to witness it. What I wasn't planning on, Tony, and in the book, I talk about that the spirit comes back to visit you. Mm-hmm. And he did. I mean, I was probably, I don't know, I guess it might have been 6 months when I finally realized that there was somebody tapping me on my shoulder. And when I turned over to look, there he stood. And I thought, huh. But the thing I couldn't understand, Tony, is we buried him in a white polo golf shirt and black jeans. He stood there in his black suit, white shirt, and red tie. And he just stood there. And I said, go to the light. I'm okay. I know you love me. I'm okay. And he came back a couple of times after that. And so I thought about I had like 3 or 4 incidents where people would say, ask me, have you ever heard of the dead coming back to visit you? And I have a story in my book where I talk about a little old lady. She kept saying, he comes every night and tells me to come with him, that it's a beautiful place and he needs me. And I tell him my kids need me. And he says, they don't need me like I need you. So, you know, I had to go back and remember all of that. And it it turned into a cute story, but she died about a little over 2 weeks after he did. But she said he just kept coming back to her and telling her that, you know, to come. He needed her. So.
Wow. That is truly powerful, right? Because you're not taught, you know, energy doesn't dissipate in this world. Mm-mm. See it in everything that we do, right? Moving forward after and things like that. Now, who was there to comfort you? Because I know you had already been working in the cemetery, you've been working in the funeral homes, and this was part of your job. And I paid attention to that because I was like, wow, you were still working. Mm-hmm. Right? Even after retiring, it's just something that came naturally to you, you know, to be able to stand there and be able to comfort other people.
It was like, to me, Tony, it was like it was a calling. Okay. Mm-hmm. You know, it wasn't that I was there. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can make money in the death care industry, and people do. But you're there for if somebody needs to talk, if somebody needs to yell at you, or they need to scream at you, or they need to cuss at you, or they need to cry, or they can't remember why they're there. You're there for them. It's just like having a ministry of some sort. You're there for them. And that's what I did. And I'm not going to lie. Basically, when I worked at the cemetery, you know, there would be, we would have a burial, and my part of my job, I handled everything that had come in that day at the cemetery. whether it was an at-need, a pre-need, or a funeral. And if the funeral was coming in, my job was to stay with that casket until it was in the vault and the vault was sealed. That was my job. So I got to the point that I would say, eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, let perpetual light shine upon them, and may they all rest in peace and give their loved ones comfort. And that's what I did. Every soul that I witnessed the burial, that's what I did.
You know, I would say, I'm gonna say this because they were lucky to have you. They were so blessed and lucky to have you.
Well, thank
Having
you.
such a send off like that, and having the families, you know, having you be such a blessing to those families and things like that.
Mhm.
That just makes my heart smile,
Yeah.
because to know that, you know, that you were there,
Yeah.
and to be able to walk with them and to be able to not leave their side, you know, well, you could have left their side, but to not leave their side and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
go through. Yeah, it goes back to the original question. When you were going through it, who was there to comfort you?
I think this, my spirituality, I think my belief in God, my belief that, and there was a higher power, that this was part of life.
Mm.
You know, I had lost my parents and my father-in-law all within like less than a year altogether. And I, at that particular time, I had somebody ask me not too long after that, well, who helped you through the grief? Who helped you, you know, get over that? Well, it was God. I mean, it was a higher power within me, because I had the realization at that particular time that we're all born. Everybody's different. Everybody's birth is different. Their lives are different. Their deaths are different. And I just believed that this was part of what we were supposed to go through.
Mm. I mean, it's such a like. Here's the thing, like we, those of us that are in this field, we see this all the time. So it becomes like a normal thing for us, right? To be able to talk about it, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera, et cetera. But you know, I often tell people, because I do a death cafe, right? And because I
Mhm.
want to normalize conversations around death, dying, and grief.
Right.
Let's plan your funeral. And I go, if you can imagine what your funeral is like, you know, what would it look like?
Mhm.
Okay, let's put this into a wheel. And I explain to them the benefits of doing this, right? Then I go, now on the other side, let's map out what you want, how you want to live your life. That way,
Mhm.
this over here, no one has to question, right? You can always go back in and take away things and put and add things in.
Right.
The beautiful thing about it. But the purpose of it is not to have people question what to do with, you know, A through Z. Your home, your clothes, your car, your, you know, the money, etc. Right? It eliminates a whole lot of fighting. Because you know just as well as I do, after the funeral, everybody's like, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna take that. But there's nothing to say who that person wanted to give them to. They just assumed that they wanted to give it to them. Right.
Right. Right.
And then, you know, and then on top of there, you know, it's like, you know, the other benefit of it, now that we got this out the way, oh, you want to do skydiving? Let's go do it. Right? Oh,
Mhm.
you want to go drive race cars? Let's go. You want to travel? Let's do that. Let's work on living your finite life. Right?
Mhm.
And so, you know, people, I get so many people coming to me, oh man, it's so sad to talk about it. I'm like, it's really not. It's a beautiful thing because for one, we're all going to go through it.
Mhm.
And whether if you go through it early or later on in life,
Right.
you're going to experience it.
Yes.
And it's
Right.
always going to be the same. So you might want to let people know what you want, right? Plan your own funeral out.
And I tell people, Tony, all the time, we plan to have kids. We plan to get
Yeah,
married. We plan to go to college. We plan to work. We plan our retirement out. We plan what we're going, where we're going to go on vacation.
right.
We're not going to plan on dying.
No one wants to talk about it. No one
Nobody.
wants to talk about it. They want people to guess when it's all said and done. Like, yeah, I guess you wanted to get pushed down the mountain, so I can do that, right? Like it may not be what you wanted, but you didn't tell me,
Yeah.
so you can't leave that up in my hands.
Yeah.
Who wants to do that? I would duct tape you in some black trash bags and roll you down the hill, and we're gonna play bowling. We're gonna see how this works out, right? No, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure I shouldn't do that though. I'm so sure I shouldn't do that. But now, if it was me, I would expect anything less, right? They were like, "Oh no, he dead." Like I already know. Look, I pick fights with all kinds of kids, and so I know that now that they're older, they're plotting on me. I did
Mhm.
this for a specific reason. Don't worry about burying me. They already got it under control.
That's right.
There's a reason why I pick fights with the kids. They're like, "You wait till we get older. We're gonna get you." Yeah,
Yeah.
don't get sick, Tony. Don't get sick. So we already know how that works out.
We know how that's going to go, don't
We
we?
already know how that's gonna work out. They're gonna have me hanging up in a tree upside down or either duct tape to the tree like there's Tony. let's not do that. Oh my
And,
god.
and I
Oh,
can
oh,
definitely tell you, I mean, I don't know how many, I know I've got two in the book, but how many families that I saw that it just would split them in two,
right.
that they're not speaking to each other after that. And I heard, and I did not put that in my book because I couldn't verify it at all. But I had client tell me that her um sister-in-law, her family, her grandmother had promised this old antique organ to her, but her brother said no. She promised it to him, and the other sister said no. He promised it to her, and those three fought, had lawyers and the whole bit, and there was nothing, nowhere as to what she wanted done because it was it was old and it was very expensive antique organ. And it was like 7 years that organ sat there and basically rotted. And before they finally come to an agreement or to sell it, and nobody took it. And they never spoke to each other after that. And to me, that was just so sad.
And that's the reason why it's important.
Yes.
Right? Now, just like yourself, I've seen so many families get split up, the fighting, the
Mhm.
constant, oh, like, oh no, this, that, and other. And to me, that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-mm.
Because my thought is that person is gone.
That person's gone.
Now you pick the time to fight over what you want and this, that, and other. And this is why I tell, because I have gone through the process of planning out my end of life treatment.
Mhm.
And I made it real simple for people. Don't come find me. Just don't come find me. I will do everything. I will have everything set up. I will have people in place to take care of the nonprofit, the podcast, and things like that. I'm gonna take all of my clothes, get rid of them. All the
Mhm.
money I have, I'm giving it to my sister. Say, hey, take care of your girls. Make sure that my daughters have, etc. And then from there, just don't come find me.
Mhm.
Let me be. I don't want a funeral. I don't want you crying over me. I don't. As a matter of fact, just let it be. Just let it be. You don't. I don't need any of that. And I know for a lot of people that do care about me, they don't want to hear that. They want to be like,
Mhm.
we want to come to your funeral. No, I don't want you to do that.
Mm-mm.
Don't.
You're not going to be there, Tony. You're
Yeah,
not
I'm
going to.
not gonna get
You're
you
going to be
anyway.
up
Right?
here watching, but
No, I
no.
don't. But see, that's the whole thing. I don't even want to do that. Right?
No.
My thought is, and people get so upset with me. Because and I get it because they care.
Mm-hmm.
I've already planted the tree for my son on top of his ashes.
Mm-hmm.
I said, when the time comes, that's where I'm going to be.
Right.
I haven't told anybody where it is, and I'm not going to. Because I told him, I said, I've spent all of my living moments around the people that I care about. Let me spend this moment right here where I'm passing out of this world with my son. Let me do that. As I
Mhm.
transition out, I want to be able to have a conversation with him uninterrupted. Just so we can talk about, just so we can talk. And I can really voice to him how much I care about, how
That's
much I,
beautiful.
and I think for me, that's me, right?
Thank you. Now, I
Um,
told my kids I want a party, and they said, "We're not having a party." And I said, "Yes, you are. I have an insurance policy, and there better be a party." And I want, don't get me wrong, everybody that I've known, everybody that knows me, everybody that knows my kids, everybody that I maybe waited on at the cemetery or for some reason. And I tell you why, Tony, when you, if there may be something, I mean, you and I are doing this podcast. My
mhm,
kids may never see it, but there may be something that I said that helped you or that helped one of your people down the road
mhm,
and that they're very, very thankful for because they never thought of it that way.
right.
Or there was something maybe that I gave somebody or that I helped somebody out during a really rough time. So those kind of stories help heal. They help heal. And that's what I want
You.
my kids to know, the stories of mom and what all she did and who she helped and who she inspired or who she left a lasting impression with. That's what I want for my kids. And then if they don't have a party and they don't have a band and they don't have all this food, then there's a bunch of people on the south side of the town where I live in that are very, very poor and very hungry, and they would love to come to a party.
That's what I'm talking about. See, I'm right there with you. I'm right there. Well, if I have to do a party, I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting the last laugh. I really am. Because if you're gonna force me to have a funeral, at the end of the funeral, I want somebody to have my phone and text everybody, "Thank you for coming. See you at the after party." I'm sorry. I'm doing it. If you're gonna force me to have a funeral, best believe that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm giving my phone to something. Somebody better have my phone. I'm gonna go. Everybody in that list,
I
and
love
say
it.
thank you for coming.
Thank you
See
for
you
coming.
at the after party, starting at 8 p.m. tonight.
Oh, Lord.
All
And
because I want people to get there like, hold on, did we just bury him? What do you mean? Thank you for coming. What? I'm sorry. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's going to be so funny because because then they have to go to the after party. Then they have to figure out where I am.
mhm.
I'm sorry. I can't help it.
And you know what? You're going to be up there watching all of this, and you're just going to be laughing up a storm.
And I'm gonna make sure that people get this final text at the end of the night. I want that person to send a text to everybody saying, "I'm over your stuff already. I'm over your stuff already." I'm sorry. I'm going to do it. Because I get so many people doing that to me now. Because I tell them that all the time because they always give me a hard time. I'm like, you know what? I'm over your stuff already. So now everybody comes back to me. They're like, "What you gonna do? Say it's doing my stuff already?" I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, I am actually."
You've got to respect that person
Yeah,
and their needs and how they saw things. And Tony, I still believe, just like I said, we're spiritual beings. We're having a human experience. And whether that experience is good or whether it's bad, it it is what it is. It's we're spiritual beings and we don't
yeah,
die. And I don't know whether we come back or whether we don't. That's up to God. That's not my thing. But you and I talked.
yeah. You know, my goal when I leave this place, I don't want to come back. I don't. Right.
Mhm.
I believe that this time around, because I do believe our souls are recycled back in, just in different bodies to different parents.
Yeah.
And we kind of repeat the life in different ways to see if we can make better choices, or maybe we get it right, and find out what we're supposed to do in this world, and we live our purpose, right,
Right.
and feel that contract that we have in putting our purpose out into the world. I'm a huge believer in that. So
Mm.
this, I know what I'm supposed to do. It's almost like I've done this before.
Mm.
Like, well, see what else I can do. So I take that and I lift all the limitations off, and I said, let's see if I can do this, and let's see if I can do that. And I'm putting all of these beautiful things out into the world. At least I would like to say.
Hmm.
And then I look at life and I just go, you know what? Yeah, that's that good stuff right there. So when I leave this time, I don't want nothing else left in me. The
Hmm.
gift that has been bright, but it's been growing and shining so bright within me, I don't want it to be kaput.
Mm.
Yeah, I put it all back out into the world. I don't want to come back anymore. I'm not going to go towards the light. I'm gonna go to the other side. Well, not hell neither. I'm not going to hell. So I'm too rowdy for that. I'm gonna go to another dimension. I'm going to live in a different way. But I'm not coming back here. I think my work will be complete.
That's great.
Reason for me to be here anymore, right? And to be honest with you, Sandy, I don't think I want to repeat this anymore. All right. If I had to go through any of the stuff that I had you forced me to, I'm fighting. Fighting. So it's be like, hey, you were up, Tony. I'm grabbing the person behind me, throwing him down the porter and they're gonna look at me and go, wasn't me, he fell. Right? I'm not going out like that. I'm not going out like that. Right?
As I said, I don't have the answers, but you have to believe in something bigger and better than you are, and
Yes.
you have to believe that life is precious, and that, as I said, everybody has comes in this world. All births are different. All lives are different.
Mm,
I mean, you may have the same thing happen, but it's all different how you perceive it, how you go through it.
yeah.
And the same thing with dying. Everybody dies, but they all die different,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it is, everybody has a story to tell. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's you know what, and that's why I love listening to them, because like everybody, I love the fact that people were able to live their lives the way
Mhm.
that they do, and I find it fascinating on the journey, and because like you said, everybody's story is different,
Everybody's different.
and it's
And
something.
Tony, I have 7 kids. They are all have the same father, the same mother. They are all completely different. They were coming
Mhm,
into this world that was all in a different experience for each and every one of them.
mhm.
And their lives, they're all different. And I
Yeah.
keep thinking, are they mine? Are they really mine? They're acting like their father.
You go to the hospital like, look, I know about this one. But those other ones, y'all sure y'all gave me the right kids? I mean, because we hear about kids being switched out all the time, right?
Right.
So I can just see you down there like that. Like I know this. I know the last name is mine on the birth certificate. I think we need to do a DNA test though. Your kids are like, "Whoa!" And I would be in the background just laughing like, "No, she didn't." I just be laughing my butt off, right? I think that'll just be a whole lot of fun because I can only imagine all your kids with their different personalities, and then you're raising them like, yo, I'm gonna knock your little butt out if you don't stop.
And you know what? I look at those 7 kids and I can see a little bit of me in all of them,
Uh-huh.
but I see a lot of their dad in them,
Ooh.
and I'm going, oh, why did we have to?
Look on your face like, oh no.
But you know what? I've been blessed beyond my fondest dreams, Tony, and I'm so very thankful for each and every one of them, and all the 19 grandkids. I can see a little bit of me in each and every one of them, and just totally blessed. Totally blessed.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I want to backtrack a little bit because I want to get into some of your cemetery stories. Oh my God. Oh my God. For those who are tuning in, you guys are about to start dying laughing. Like Sandy has lived an extraordinary life.
I have
And
lived an extraordinary
the
life.
cemetery stories. Oh my God. This is where it gets you. So
Yeah.
take us through some of your stories. Take us through some of your situations.
Well,
I'm laughing already. I don't know. I'm looking at your face.
you
Like
know what I'm going to lead with. You already.
Yeah, I'm already like because you shared a few of them with me, and I'm just like I don't even know where this is going right now.
Well, I can tell you one of the first stories that I have in the book because it was one of the first families that I ever waited on, and it was a 49-year-old guy that had had a massive heart attack, and he left a 21-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter, and the ex-wife came with them to help make the arrangements, and they had no clue what they were doing, and so we found a space next to his mother, and so that's where we were going to have him buried, was right next to his mother. So as I shared with you, I always tried to follow up and see if things went okay, if I could give them the name of some counselors or, what was going on with the family. And I always told them if there was any spaces anywhere around, I would put them on hold, that they could not be sold until, for at least 60 days. So I called the ex-wife and she told me her son had went back to Texas. He was in the service and he had gone back, but that she was getting counseling for her daughter, her 16-year-old daughter. So she told me that she wanted to buy the space next to him because she thought that if something would happen to her, that's where the kids would want her. But if something happened to one of the kids, that's where she would want them. And I said, okay, made arrangements for her to come out the next day to pay for this space. So a couple, 3 days later, had this young blonde come in. She looked like she was a fashion model, beautiful blonde hair. And she said, I got your name from the funeral director because Jerry and I were lovers for over 5 years, and I know he would want me to spend eternity with him. And I want to buy a space as close to him as I can get. So I sold her the space at his feet. thinking, oh my, oh my. So it was about a week later, maybe, this young, nice looking gentleman came in. He must have been about 50, good looking guy. He said, can I talk with you privately? And I said, sure. So we go into the arrangement room, and he said, Jerry and I have been lovers since high school. And he said, I know that we were together spiritually, physically, and emotionally, and I want to be buried by him as close as I can get. So I sold him the space at the foot of the ex-wife next to the girlfriend. So it was Jerry, his ex-wife, his girlfriend, and his boyfriend. And I finished that story with, I kept telling myself, it's not my place to judge. It's not my place to judge. Then the thought crossed my mind that no wonder Jerry had a heart attack. And wasn't it ironic that he was buried in the Garden of Love?
You know what? I'm over your stuff already, Sandy. I'm over your stuff already. You come on now. You know that is some Jerry Springer stuff. They had it in they had it in life, and now they have it in the spirit.
And I'll tell you, Tony. Basically, when this happened, and that guy left, and I walked into the office, and the girls were there. The office girls were there, and my manager was there, and I said, one of these days, I'm going to write a book. And he said, and what are you going to name it? I said, Days of Our Lives at the Cemetery, because I don't think this is going to be a dead place at all.
No, not at all. Because because how do you explain that to the kids?
You don't.
You can't.
You can't. You can't. And hopefully the family would never find out,
Oh, Sandy, you just buried everybody around him, right?
Yeah.
All his lovers. At some point, there's questions. Like, who is this person? Who is this person?
I would say that the questions would probably come from the ex-wife. I don't think.
Yeah.
The ex-wife. If something would happen to one of them before her, yeah.
We're just gonna say Jerry lived a really good life.
Yeah, and that's the reason it was so short.
Like on his terms. Like, let's just put it that way. I don't agree with. I mean, but I don't care. What you do? Hey, live your life the way that you see fit.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna laugh because I am not. There's no way that I would have been able to keep myself together. I would have been dying. I would have like, And I'm telling you, I wouldn't even have wrote a book. I would have drew a map. And you guess what Jerry's lovers are? And I would have directions leading to the different plots. Right, but you would have
Sounds like a movie to me, Tony.
I'm telling you, look, it would have been hilarious because even if the ex-wife had never asked questions, I would have still drew the map and I would have gave it to her. And I said, one day, this is going to make sense. Yeah. Just to see what she does.
Well, I bet you if I'd have been the ex-wife, I wouldn't be buried there.
Exactly. I'd have like, I'm like, yeah, well, it's already bought now. Ta-da.
Yeah.
There's nothing else I could do with that. But I mean, I probably would have done something like that, though.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So let's get into another one of your stories. Because you talked about the people at the back of cemetery. You know what I'm talking about when the guy walked back there and he was like, "Oh, I wonder what they're doing," and then he hurry up and realized that maybe I shouldn't go back there again.
Well, I tell people basically we had a saga, I guess, went on for, I don't know, almost 6 months. And there was always this red pickup truck that would come in at 12 o'clock and it'd drive clear back to the back of the cemetery. And then about 5 or 10 minutes later, this white convertible would go clear to the back and they would be there at 1 o'clock. They would leave. Only this one day, after about 3 months or so, one of the guys out at the cemetery, I was witnessing a burial, and he asked me, he said, "Have you seen this red truck and this white convertible come in every day at the cemetery at noon?" He said, "What do you think's going on?" And I just busted out "Afternoon Delight." And and my face got red, Tony, my face got red, and I went, you know, and he laughed. And then it was like 3 or 4 weeks later. It was a rainy, dreary day, and both of them came in at 12 o'clock. And at 3 o'clock, one of the guys in the back said, the white convertible and the red truck are still in the back behind the pine trees. Do you think that there's something going on or whatever? He said, "Do you think I should check it out?" And I said, "Well, that's up to you." So it must have been about 30 or 40 minutes later, he come in and I said, "So what did you find?" And he said, "Let's just put it this way. Your thing of Afternoon Delight was right on the mark." So I put down, "Well, if you think your spouse is having an affair, check the cemetery."
I'm sorry. Oh my God. Because these are things that you wouldn't think about, right?
Right.
Yeah, you want to find out, go to the cemetery.
Right.
I don't even know. I don't even have a rebuttal for that one.
No, I mean, and stranger things have happened, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, in your world, I can only imagine, Sandy. All of this stuff going on, and oh my God, where's your book at? Did you bring a copy of your book?
I do have a copy of my book.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was going to, what can people find your book?
They can find it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Books A Million, and they have them all. They may have to order them, but they're there. Yeah.
You did send me the links to it. So the links to all of that. Follow her on social media. She is a riot, guys. She is a riot. Okay. I love talking with her. Talk with her forever. You guys already know.
Yeah.
So, what other stories? I mean, because you did that for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I think that basically one of the stories that it was early on in my working, and it just left such an impact on me. And I titled it 3 Generations of Loss. A sunless day in July brought with it a gloomy experience where I was about to witness the burial of a 5-day-old infant. At the sheriff's car pulled up to the gravesite, a silver car pulled in right behind it. The ebony woman, dressed in purple raincoat and matching purple velvet pillbox hat, placed herself close to the little white casket. She was dabbing her eyes when the minister approached her to offer words of comfort. I watched in shock as 3 armed guards dragged a man out of the sheriff's vehicle and up to the casket. The man was a lighter ebony color and had tears overflowing from his big brown eyes. He was wearing an orange prison jumpsuit, his hands cuffed in front of him. He dropped himself to the ground and sobbed uncontrollably. I'm so sorry. I love you. You were my son. Why did you have to die? The lady in the pillbox hat ran over to comfort him through his deep distress. The guard stopped her en route, commanding her not to go near him. I turned my head away from the scene because it was excruciating painful to witness this level of human suffering. The minister, a man of around 50, was dressed in an expensive-looking blue suit with a bright blue silk tie. His flashing clothing seemed out of place in this particular situation. He started with the Lord's Prayer and then proceeded to talk about how only God knows why these kinds of things happen. He ended with a blessing for the father and grandmother of the baby. As soon as the minister spoke his final words, the 3 guards picked up the fellow in the orange jumpsuit and dragged him back to the patrol car, shoving him into the back seat. I felt outrage at the harsh handling of this father, who was so obviously destroyed by grief. Are we not all God's creatures? I asked in my mind. The lady in the pillbox hat walked over to me and took my hand in hers. My name is Essie. I want to thank you for handling all of this for me. As you can see, my son was no position to take care of anything. He made a mistake and now he's paying for it. Tears filled my eyes for this woman's family. My grandson's mother fled the state in desperation. She had to have her drugs, and my grandson paid the price with his life. She said tearfully, I kept thinking that God always knows best, but I would have raised this baby well and loved him. Then she broke down sobbing, squeezed my hand, and ran back to the car. I stood there by the little white casket, crying softly for the grandmother who would never see her grandson grow, for the mother who could not stay off drugs even for the sake of her child, and for the father whose only memory of his day-old son would be a little white casket. I wept for the precious and innocent infant who never stood a chance. I called the grounds crew to come and complete the burial and headed back to the office to get ready for the next service.
Wow. Wow, the detail that you put in there. It's almost like I was standing there with you watching this.
Yeah.
I'm imagining, there's this man handcuffed, can't do anything, but witness his child being buried. And knowing that after all of that, he's still got to go back to prison. He's still got to hold himself together. He'll never be able to grieve.
No.
Right. And so again, when you're reading it, I'm like, I'm right there with you. I'm looking at this through the eyes of your words.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's good, man. That's good stuff right there, right? And then imagining that lady walking up to you and grabbing your hands and thanking you for what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing about it, Sandy, that I did something for the people in my office space because we all run nonprofits, and it's such a thankless job.
Mm-hmm.
No one really understands the work that we put in to be able to do the things that we do.
No.
And no one really comes up and says thank you.
Mm-mm.
A little old me, a little old me. I see this. I make it a point every day when I come into the office to go around and just give people hugs and talk with them to see how their day is going and things like that. And so what I did for the holidays, I bought everybody sweatshirts, right? And some of them were the Stay Another Day sweatshirts with 99 reasons to stay. And some of them were the You Are Enough t-shirts where on the back it says, hey, dear person behind me, the person in front of you want to let you know that the world is a better place with you in it. Love the person in front of you. And so I bought all of these. I bought all of these sweatshirts, like, and I did it so smoothly because I bought my own, right? You know what I'm saying? So to eliminate anybody buying me anything for the holidays, I was like, I'll just buy my own, right? And so, and I managed to get everybody's sizes, and I went through and bought all of their sweatshirts. So as the holidays were approaching, they were starting to go on vacation. I would go to their offices and put it on their desk. And eventually they found out that I was the one that did it. They said, why did you do it? I said, because no one else says thank you for the work that you do. And I wanted to let you know that I see you. And they were like, well, I said, no, 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 you don't understand. I didn't do it for you to give anything back to me. I did it because wouldn't it be nice if somebody just saw what you did
Yeah.
and just did something without expecting anything back from you? Because they want to say thank you for the work that you do. Because the work that we do is such a thankless job. No
Yes.
one really pays attention to us. It's just expected of us to do it. And we're expected to show up in the world, right? And that's what that right there, when you did that, that's what made me, really look at you and go, man, that is that's good stuff right there. That's real good stuff. And you got a smile on your face that would light up the world, right? I'm just like, wow, she still got a smile on her face after going through all of those things. But I get it though, that purpose, right? That commitment,
Mm-hmm.
worth it, right?
Yeah.
It really is. And now I don't want to talk about your diagnosis because I can't imagine the world without Miss Sandy in it.
My
I,
diagnosis is fine.
yeah, well, I don't want to, I'm like, I understand where you're coming from because, like, if I will come and get you, I will, right? But like, bring your butt on back down here. And then you can fight with me all you want. And I'm gonna be like, you can fight all you want, but I'm over your stuff already. Come on. Come
Yeah.
on. You're like, Tony. I'm like, I know. I told you I was doing it. Right? I told you I was doing it. But
No,
what's in the future for you? What's in the future for you?
I have started writing specialized children's books. Like we just did one, my girlfriend and I, we just did one over Christmas for this little boy who he's only 4, and he has to have a specialized walker because he was born with defects with his legs and feet.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, they could not, his name is Connor, and they could not find a book with his name in it. And so we designed a book for Connor. And I found out that Connor in Irish means lover of hounds. So, we put all kinds of dogs in it and all kinds of baseball and all that thing. So specialized books for kids because I'm a big believer in affirmations, and I'm a big believer in meditation, and I'm a big believer in, as you know, God, and I, this. I'm a big believer in the Optimist organization, which I shared with you. But during my trial time after I was diagnosed, I did a lot of meditations, healing meditations, a lot of affirmations, did a lot of the first stanza of the Optimist Creed is promise yourself to be so strong that nothing will disturb your peace of mind. And so I ate, vegetables, and I took all kinds of herbs, anything that was out there that had to do with fighting cancer and improving your health. That's what I did. And that's what I would, for kids, I want to make sure that they know that they are valued, that they are worthy, and that they are loved, and they are precious. And if they've got that inside them, then they will find the power to fight whatever's going on with their body.
Again, you just amaze me, right? You're a true inspiration.
Well, thank you.
And I don't hold a candle to any of that. Just being able to have the privilege to be able to talk with you and laugh with you, like I may just have to tell your kids you adopted me. And we just go from there, right? You want another grandson? I mean, I'll be a grandson. You don't even have to give me much. Just put me in the corner once in a while. Put it over there. I'll be okay. I will. You know, you won't even know I'm there. I mean,
You're
no.
perfectly welcome anytime, Tony. You're welcome.
See, y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that, don't you? Look. I'll show up at Sunday dinner. Y'all don't even know. I will. Like
Well, I
Sandy.
hate to tell you this, Tony, but I quit cooking.
I know. See, we gonna go in the kitchen together. Okay, we going in the kitchen together. We gonna cook up something.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely gonna cook up something. we bring about the old style cooking Sunday dinners now. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna sit around like a family, and we're gonna make fun of everybody. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, we're gonna sit out on the porch with some sweet tea, and we're gonna make fun of everybody. Okay, that's what we're doing.
I live in a woods, Tony. I live in a woods, and we can see the deer and the squirrel. So
even better. Look, I told somebody. It's funny that you mentioned that. So I told somebody the other day. I was like, I'm like Sasquatch. Some people swear that they've seen me, and some people can't even do. They don't even know if they have. Right? I said, but see, when you do see me, I'll be the guy riding on the back of a deer, holding the antelopes, riding through the forest.
Wasn't that ironic?
So they were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll be that guy, right?" And so don't ask me why. I mean, I keep trying to tell people you can't keep doing this to me, right? Because I have no sense. I have no sense whatsoever. So I think they set me up for failure, Sandy. I think they are. This is what I'm gonna say. I'm like, well, yeah, no, it didn't work out too well for you, did it? Oh my God. Oh man. With that being said, Sandy, we're gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
But it's been a blast speaking with you. Now I look for many more. I look for us to have many more conversations. Okay. And
anytime you need me, why you just give me a call and we'll talk about the book, or we'll talk about Optimist, or we'll talk about.
We can do all of that. We can do all of that because I got a few things coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So huge update for everyone. The Global Grief Conference 2025 is going to be amazing. We got a lot of people showing up.
That's
great.
Got
live music. We got live comedy. We got webinars. We got presentations. We got a lot of stuff, right? We got children's animations. We got infomercials coming in. So we got a few sponsors that are going to be putting in. You guys don't want to miss this. This is going to be the biggest one I've ever done. Thanks to my friend Ada Malave and the rest of the Global Grief Network. Guys, we're making this happen.
Good.
So,
good.
We got the magazine. I'm still working on that. So, you guys already know we got the men's group coming up this Saturday. So for those men out there, find it on Facebook, get the QR code, register. It's free to attend. It's a 12-week program. You can't go wrong, right? If you don't like it, you don't have to be there. But you don't want to miss out on your healing and be surrounded by other men. Make those connections out there, fellas. And for everyone else out there, Sandy, you guys give a big shout out to Sandy. She is freaking hilarious. Go support her book. Find her on Facebook. Find her on our social media links. They are down below. And tell her that Tony sent you, right? And guys, podcasters, get her on your show. Get her on your show. She's going to have you dying. And for everyone else out there, give a huge shout out to my guest, Sandy.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Well, thank you as well, Sandy. Thank you. Like I said, we got a lot more and many blessings, many blessings. Even we got the pink shirt on today.
That's right.
This is what I be talking about, y'all. Like we didn't even plan this. She put this up here. I told you she's stalking me. You better stop it. You better stop it. I'm telling somebody, okay? Just in case if I come up missing, they know what to search. So you guys, we're going to wrap this episode up. And, this is going to conclude this episode of Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. For those who are just tuning in, If you haven't already, head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. It's scrolling along the bottom right there. Can't really miss it. Go to the website. We got a few things going on around there as well.
Okay.
And with that being said, Sandy, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for laughing with me. Thank you for taking us on this journey. And looking forward to doing so much more. Guys, have an amazing day.
You
Stay
too.
warm. And we're going to see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.